Well, hello, internet friends. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. This is a podcast where we just celebrate the greatness that is Parks and Recreation. We watch an episode, and then we talk about it. And by we, I mean myself, Jason, and my friend Jeremy, all the way across town, joined together by the power of the internet. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hello.
How are you today?
I am well. I'm excited for this episode. How are you doing?
Man, I feel like the world is our oyster, which I never understood. But I just think there's so much good stuff in this episode that it's like a pearl inside a pile of snot.
I always thought like that's a weird way to describe the world, like just all slimy and stuff. So yeah, the pearl. I always forgot about the pearl.
Encased in a shell.
Yeah,
at the bottom of the ocean.
And what about people who are allergic to shellfish? Like the world is your oyster.
What about them?
I don't. Well, that would be terrible for them if the world was an oyster.
Yeah. You know what is really upsetting is like you can just find oysters on the beach. Like if the tide is low, you just pick them up. They look like rocks, right?
Yeah.
And like you find a oyster, and every time I think about this, I kind of get grossed out. The first person to eat an oyster. First of all, they're like, I'm going to try to eat this rock. Dumb. And then they're like, wait, there's a hole in this rock. Let me open it. And then they look inside there and there is just a pile of gooiness. And like, I'm going to try to eat this gooey rock. It's different than all the other rocks. There's some goo in it.
That's why they call them gooey ducks.
You think that is it? Why?
I have no idea. Because they don't look anything like ducks.
They don't, but they are gooey. They're really gross. Anyway, yeah, the world is our oyster, and there's a pearl inside of it. It's called Season 3, Episode 12, Eagleton. Transition. And
that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So today we are going to get to know the citizens of Eagleton a little better. Was it in Season 2? Yes, Season 2, during Kaboom, we heard reference of a town called Eagleton. And but we had not yet been to Eagleton. Today we go.
It was supposedly 2 towns over.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not.
It's right next door. We'll find out all of this stuff. There's some continuity errors, and so I understand, listener, if you just want to drop off right after this episode because of it's like this isn't believable anymore, then I'm with you. But let me give you a synopsis, and then we'll jump into the play-by-play. Eagleton builds a fence in a shared park between their two cities, and we find out when Ron's birthday is. How's that for a synopsis?
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. Those are really the two plot lines of this episode. There's an A plot and a B plot. That's it. It's a simple one, but it is good. It's a good episode. So far,
agreed.
I know I say that about almost every episode, but this one is great. And it starts with Monday, black screen, Monday.
And I love those. I just love those because it's like, oh, this is going to be like an ongoing, continuous thing. So, which is always fun. It's like, how is this going to go link together in flashbacks and stuff? If there are any, I just love this vehicle for telling story.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I always think it's going to be much more intense than it is.
Right.
Like, because it's like, oh, whoa, I need to know when this happened. I better pay close attention to what's going on. And it doesn't really matter. It's only 4 days for this whole episode.
Right.
So Monday, Leslie comes into Ron's office and starts chatting with him about all kinds of stuff. And then eventually reveals that she knows it's Ron's birthday on Friday. And Ron is very upset about this because he doesn't believe anybody should know private information about them, like when their birthday is. He's gone so far as to redact all of the government documents that would say anything about his birthday. So Leslie has spent 3 years. She tells us 3 years investigating Ron's birthday.
It's because birthdays are a scam. They were invented by Hallmark to sell cards.
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
Such a funny joke.
Nobody was born on a specific day until Hallmark company came along and said, hey, you guys, let's convince everybody that this matters.
Man, if they'll buy a card for when you're born, they'll buy a card for anything.
And it's proved to be true.
Yeah.
Hallmark sells a lot of cards.
So do you think, not that I'm going off the rails already, because heaven forbid.
That's not
but
how we go. We started off the rails. I started talking about oysters and ducks.
Exactly. Have you noticed? I didn't know this growing up, but my kids are very into the whole today is something day. Like today is National World Pancake Day,
Mhm.
and now we have days like there's like 4 things happening on the same day, of which I've never heard. Like it's Inchworm Day or Rake Your Yard Day. I don't know. And so are they trying just to see which ones gain traction so that then they can make cards? Like what? Why now? Why do we have days for everything now? Why can't it just be Tuesday? I'm just saying.
I think it comes down to fundamentally, we have too much free time and not enough meaning in our lives.
So do we need like a national free time day just to kind of sit and think about how much time we have?
Yeah. And then put all of those dumb holidays in that. National Free Time Hour is where you can think about all the stuff that has its own day that's not actually a holiday.
Yeah,
So,
except for National Slurpee Day, because that's a treasure.
well, that makes sense because it's on 7-Eleven. I don't know how much more obvious it could be. Like this would be the day for a Slurpee Day would be on July 11th, 7-Eleven. They're
Right.
from 7-Eleven.
And it's hot and it's icy. I mean, it all makes sense.
It all makes sense. Now, if AM/PM wanted to have a National Slushy Day, that would make sense for any day because their hours are AM and PM. It's not narrowed down to a specific day. So it'd be much more difficult for AM/PM to pull something off like that. But they could do any day. They could choose.
Yeah.
Like it could be the opposite of the year. So it could be in January 11th, National AM/PM Slushy Day.
Sure.
So then you have every 6 months you get a free slushy, which is very important.
This is why you need that day off to think all this through. I'm just saying, like, you're really starting with that. Anyway, I was just curious.
I think yesterday was National Deep Dish Pizza Day, and I think that deserves its day.
Yeah.
So yeah, my wife made pizza yesterday. Okay. As our family tradition for the day that we knew about it, we we eat pizza on that day. So yeah. Why are we talking about this? Oh, birthdays. Yeah. So Leslie found out that it was Ron's birthday through a well-placed bribe to a gentleman at Baskin and Robbins, where she found out when his birthday is. I don't know. There's a lot of questions that come up from this. First of all, did Leslie follow Ron to Baskin and Robbins? Or was Leslie just at Baskin and Robbins and asking? Which leads to another question. Did Leslie go to every restaurant or place of business in Pawnee that has any kind of birthday club and say, "Do you know Ron Swanson?"
Well, she may have followed. I mean, she said she put in 3 years of investigating, so it deserves its own episode. But yeah, I would say that she knew that Ron liked ice cream somehow, and then was like put it together. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. I don't. Yeah, somehow she found this out. She bribed the person. That is true. She bribed the person to tell her when his birthday is, and what kind of ice cream he liked, which is rum raisin.
Oh,
which sounds awful.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had it. So when I go, it just means like I don't want to have had it.
I don't want to it. Yeah, I like raisins. And I've had rum flavored things before. It's fine. But I don't think I would want a rum and a raisin combined in ice cream. I don't know. There's a place down by Edmonds Ferry.
Mm-hmm.
They have an ice cream shop there, the little cafe shop. They have ice cream in there. And one time they had a whiskey flavored praline ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite good.
Oh, okay. That was not the turn. That's not the turn I thought that was going.
Well, it was good. That's all I got to say. So, so Leslie is like, I'm going to throw the biggest party for you. It's going to be a rager. It's going to be amazing. Get ready. It's going to be, I go off the hook. And Ron is upset because he doesn't like loud noises or people making a fuss about anything. And so that sets up the whole episode with Ron and his paranoia around birthdays. So credits happen. And then it comes in, Tom coming into the office and says, well, they did it. They put up a fence. And everybody's in the office right now, all in the Parks Department office, which Ben, I think, is really stretching his job here. He's spending way too much time in the Parks office when he is assistant city manager. Like, he should be with all the different departments. But, the heart wants what the heart wants. And right now it's to not do his actual job and to just hang out with the Parks people. And so they're like, what happened? They put up a fence overnight. So that little detail I wrote down overnight. Like they built a fence in the dark.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
to keep the Pawneans out of their Eagleton side of a shared park. So they built a fence along the park lines, which along the city line, which also we'll later find out is about it's like an ovular shape, kind of like a baseball field. A very convenient city line. So
is ovular a word?
I don't know.
Oh, that's fine.
I know.
I don't know.
Ovular is.
I thought I was going to learn something new there, so it's fine.
Ovoid? How's that? I avoid that word.
Also works.
So so now they're upset, and we learn like who would do something like this, and Leslie says Lindsay Carlisle Shea.
Oh,
and they used to be best friends. They used to work together in the Parks Department at Pawnee, and she abandoned them. We'll learn more about how and why that all happened as the show progresses. And everybody's talking about how mean Eagleton is and how awful they are. Tom says they're straight up mean to us, but it's the only place that he can get his Bumble and Bumble skincare stuff. So he goes there every 8 days. So
it was hair care, which, sorry, I mean, I'm not trying to be that guy, but it's just really funny because it's like, that's so much hair product to use.
Yeah. Every 8 days. Yeah.
Every 8 days. Yeah.
And then Donna has an opinion too. She says Eagleton is a bunch of rich snobs, and that's coming from someone who has a Mercedes with a Harman Kardon Logic 7 surround sound system. So, yeah, Donna, you showed them. So they are upset, and Leslie's going to solve this, and we'll find out she's going to solve this by first going to have a town forum, which is, of course, the best way to do this. And while she's leaving, she gives April a list of things to do in preparation for Ron's party, which is, causing great angst in Ron. He says Leslie has a lot of terrible characteristics. The worst is how thoughtful she is.
Yes.
So I love Ron. So they go to the town forum and they have some solutions and some ideas. My favorite is set it ablaze and just burn it down. And the guy who plays the arsonist, Gary is his name, the character's name. He is Bruce Green. And I don't want to be like mean, but the way they cast Gary, like he looks like a guy who would like to burn things for fun.
Right.
Like,
I don't think that's being mean. I mean, they cast him for a reason.
Yeah. He has a very unique look. Man, what a good job. So the other idea is provided by a guy named Pearl in the show. Is cast is Pearl, Mike Scully. His suggestion is to build a fence around their fence. So then if any Eagleton people need to get something, they have to go across our fence. And so his theory is like, turnabout is fair play, but they would have to build on the Eagleton side of the fence to build a fence around a fence. And how are they going to get the permit to build that side of the fence? So,
but if they do it at night, they don't need a permit, I guess.
Yeah. So, these are not great ideas. Then a mom stands up and says, "This is my son, Joey. He hurt his arm trying to get a ball that he hit over the fence. We've got to bring this fence down." And then Leslie makes the declaration, "I will tear this fence down." It's very, very Ronald Reagan-esque. And so it's going on. It's happening. While this town forum is happening, April is in the office on the phone calling a party supply store, I guess. asking about their inflatable saxophones and fedoras.
Right, neon fedoras.
Yeah. And, listener, Ron is Duke Silver. And the only other person in the whole office who knows this is April.
And Tom.
Yeah, Tom also knows that Ron is Duke Silver. And so April Leslie doesn't know to ask April for these things. And so that should be an indicator for us as a listener or as a viewer if we're paying attention. Like April is purely just messing with Ron.
Right.
Which is great.
Because I think on the list, I'm sure she said, call for balloons and, things that make it sound like it's going to be a big party. And April doesn't even know what it's for. It's just literally to mess with Ron. And so as she's doing that, she's riffing and trying to if I'm going to get balloons, they might as well be saxophone shaped because that'll make him worried.
Which I would love to see I don't want a Mylar balloon, like a Mylar saxophone balloon, but like a latex saxophone balloon. That'd be awesome if they could do that.
Why not Mylar? Because it'd be shiny.
It's a little too on the nose.
Okay.
Or now this would be really cool if you get a balloon artist who can shape the balloons into a saxophone with valves and everything. That'd be cool.
And it actually worked. And so, why don't they just hang down?
Because it brings joy, and that's the purpose. So it totally works.
Just hang saxophones from the ceiling. I don't know.
Yeah, they're garbage instruments. Why not? Just kidding. The saxophone is great. And Ron comes out and he hangs up the phone. He's like, "What are you doing? Is this a work call?" He says, April's response, "I would never make a work-related call. You know that."
Right. It's personal.
And so then they come back from town forum and Lindsay comes and she says all kinds of snooty things to them. And April wants to kill Lindsay. You can see. So she, she's holding up her scissors as they go out to the to the courtyard because it's more beautiful out there, but it's not this dirty alleyway. So yeah. And so they're talking, and Leslie wants to bring the fence down, and Lindsay, she said, a park should be open for everybody. And Lindsay says, what's better than that is a private park that's not open to everybody. And I live in a neighborhood, not to brag, but down the road from my neighborhood is the nicer houses, and it has an HOA, and it has a private park that says, this park is only for residents of this block. And it drives me nuts. It's not even that nice of a park. I would never want to take my kids to play there, but just the idea that a park is not available for other children, it makes me upset. I'm already feeling it.
And that just makes you want to go play at the park, even though you don't want to. It's like, we'll play in this park.
You know how I show them what's up? It's also, that park is on my dog walking route.
Oh, man.
And I put my dog's poop in their garbage can.
That'll show them.
Because it's right by the entrance to the park.
After you politely clean up after your dog responsibly.
Well, Maggie poops like a mile away from there.
Wow. You're really...
But it's the only garbage can on the way.
So if only they knew.
Yeah. My dog, I could throw it away in anybody's garbage can if I would just be close enough to their garbage cans. But they put their garbage can right by the side of the street.
That's why they have so many youth, having poop battles.
Oh, so gross. That is so gross. Yeah, especially, I'll stop. So then they go to Eagleton for a public forum, and their forums are amazing. And Leslie is talking about, sure, the air here smells like vanilla because of the cupcake factory. And Ben is like, oh yeah, that's what it is. Has that moment of realization. And she says Eagleton was founded by former Pawneans who, because of the smell of Pawnee, moved up the hill and took all the money and jobs with them. And Leslie, we also find out Leslie could have had Lindsay's job at this point. And it's like, wow, why would Leslie stay? Why wouldn't she take this great opportunity in this great town? And so we learn more about that later on. Back to the office, April asks Ron about street parking at his house. Could it handle a double-decker bus? And Ron's response is, "My house isn't on a street." Which sounds like that could be true.
Sure.
Like, if there's anybody who would buy land and not want to put a road to it, it would be Ron. Like, he
has
parks
the traps leading up to his house.
Right. Yeah, because later we're going to see that he does have a cabin. He has multiple cabins.
Right.
And one of those cabins he'll try to sell later, and he has to remove all the traps and doesn't understand why anybody would want him to do that. So, because they're not psychos. Yeah. And then she also asks if his property could handle a circus tent. And while this is happening, Anne comes in to the parks department, where she does not work, with a whole bunch of balloons. And Ron goes out and starts popping all of the balloons. And he's like, "Ha, I'm showing you." And she says, "These were for a sick child at the hospital." So
that just reminded me of a story real quick. When I was younger, I went to a summer camp, and you kind of got grouped in with your, like, they put you in these groups, and so we always had to eat our meals together in these groups. And it was like, it was later in the week, and it was like ham night, and they had really, I don't know, for whatever reason, they had really good ham. And I went to go clear my place at the table because all the ham was gone. And it was like this thin sliced, like honey baked ham style stuff. Anyway, and I put my dishes back, and as I came back to the table, I saw one last piece of ham on the platter, and I grabbed it, and I just no fork, nothing. I just started eating it, and I was like, yes, I got the last piece of ham, and because it was the other end of the table, and that's when I looked up and I realized that it was not my group. It was not my table. I stole another table's piece of ham. And they were just all like 15 of them were looking up at me like, "Who are you? Why did you just steal our ham?"
Wow.
I was the ham guy. I was the ham burglar, I guess.
Oh man, Jeremy, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
I find that story to be delightful for so many reasons. Ham is not worth stealing. It's fine.
It was the last piece.
So you thought, like, the last piece just at your table?
Yeah. I thought it was gone. I was excited.
That's so funny.
It was really, I was a growing boy. It was like, yes, ham.
Which camp was this?
Pleasant Valley. It was out by Morton, Washington, in the shadow of Mount Rainier.
I know where Morton is.
Yeah,
I know where Morton is. I smuggled a hotel waffle for you.
Yes,
at Morton Motel 6.
Oh, yeah, because I was the hobo living out in the field. Anyway, we're just going down personal. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I get where Ron's like these balloons. It's all about me in this moment, and you just react and you do things without really thinking that it might not be yours. Those might not be balloons for you. Don't pop them.
You know what though? I think this whole thing. This is on Anne. She does not work here.
This is Anne's fault.
She did not buy those balloons at City Hall. So she got balloons, put them in her car,
right,
took them out of her car to bring them into an office building in which she does not work, which are all not on, like, that's not the hospital. She could have left those balloons in the car, unless, there's such a huge balloon theft ring happening in Pawnee that, like, if you leave it in the car, somebody will steal your balloons, which I don't think is happening. It's not like a CD player face that you got to take out of your car so that the hoodlums in your neighborhood don't steal it. Like, no, this is all Anne's fault. She could have left them in her car.
I love it. I love the logic there.
Yeah, but it is funnier to have them in there for Ron to pop them. So, like, as a comedy show, definitely gives you some things to laugh about. But at the same time, it's like, there's no logic for her to bring these into the office, right, in which she doesn't work. So yeah, drives me nuts. And so many bad ideas, Anne. And then so Ron asks her about like, I'm going to jump down to just this next thing with her, and then we'll go back to Eagleton. But she asks her about Leslie's birthday plans, and Anne talks about how, like, they went to this Mexican restaurant with this big sombrero, and everybody came out and sang to her. And then they went back to her house, and she had invited everybody that Anne knows. And fun fact here, Ron didn't know about this party, so he wasn't invited.
Right.
But again, that's one of those things where Leslie knows Ron wouldn't want to go. And so, so everything she says about her party sounds like Ron's personal hell.
Right.
But then also it was the week before her actual birthday, so she didn't even know when it was going to be. It was like all of this stuff. Like, Leslie went over and above any kind of expectation for a birthday party, and it was awesome. And Anne loved it. And Ron just like sighs, like, as she's telling all these things. It's so great. So go back to Eagleton, and they're starting the town forum, and people stand up and say, "Hello, my name is citizen of Eagleton," and everybody applauds for each other.
Yes.
Which is amazing. Having been to city meetings, that will never happen.
I just love it. It's such in stark contrast to Pawnee's, where people get up and start chants about
and yelling at
sandwiches.
Each other.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Ham and mayonnaise sandwich. Except for the dog or whatever. Sprinkles. Yeah. It would have been much better if I remembered it the first time. Except for sprinkles.
Except for sprinkles. Yeah.
So they get up and say, like, look, why don't we just let this... One of the people is like, why don't we let the fence be a sign to Pawnee that they should try harder? And so Leslie's giving this speech and like getting these questions. And then finally she's like, I want to introduce you to Joey, everybody. And Joey waved to everyone, but you can't because you broke your arm. He's like, I can wave with this arm. No, you can't. Both arms are broken. And it's just not going well for Leslie. And she's upset. And then Lindsay comes up and says, thank you to Leslie Knope. Isn't she trying her hardest? The most condescending thing. Isn't she trying her hardest?
Which we got to say, this is Parker Posey, by the way, who's amazingly funny. I think she's a very funny person.
Yeah. She's great in this episode too. Even when she comes into the forum, they're like, she's dressed like she came from the stables, and Lindsay asks like, nice outfit. Or Leslie asks, nice outfit. Did you just come from the stables? And she says, yes.
Like it was a burn. But then I was like, oh no.
Because Pawnee Park Department has stables. Like, that's how much money Pawnee or Eagleton has. Like, they have stables. They have all these things that they can afford that Leslie and the Pawnee team will never be able to afford. And so it's not good. It's bad. And so they're ready
right. Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, I was just going to say, and during this time too, I had my notes like Tom is over, like they have a crepe bar. Yes. And so he's just getting all these different kinds of crepes. So that was really funny too. Like their public forum, totally different.
Yeah. Instead of like needing to have public forums like Pawnee, the Eagleton hosts public forums.
Right.
Like, we welcome you.
It's a gala.
Yeah. It's one of the best things. And so when Tom is talking about his crepe, he's like, this time I'll try.
Yeah.
So he's had several of these, and then Leslie comes and is like, let's go. And then she looks over and she's bends over there like, you too. And he's like eating. And he's like, these are gross. So not this is gross. These are gross.
These are gross.
So he's also had multiple crepes. And then there's also a public forum gift bag, which has an iPod Touch and a soy candle. So Tom is just loving Eagleton. It's everything he wants in the world. So cut back to the office. Ron asks Chris to send Leslie and April away on a trip or a conference and to freeze their bank accounts to prevent any kind of birthday shenanigans. And when Ron tells Chris that it's his birthday, Chris kisses him directly on the mouth.
And I swear this was part of Leslie's like plot, because he has to go to all these people. Like Anne didn't know it was his birthday. He had to tell Anne. And now he tells Chris. So the fact that his birthday is getting out is making him now everyone knows when his birthday is.
Yeah.
And she hasn't done anything.
No. She's a pretty conniving little person.
Yeah, she should be in government.
Yeah. So so Ron is like at this point basically just giving up, and he's going to decide that he's going to he can't go home because Leslie might have thrown something at his house. That's just what she wants. So he's going to sleep in the office. Like he won't go home, which is great. So then I think maybe the next day, Leslie and the gang decide that they're going to show Eagleton what's up by throwing their Pawnee garbage over the fence. And then Lindsay comes over and like, what are you doing? And like, we're going to show you what we think of you by throwing this garbage over the fence. And she's holding waffles from JJ's. And Leslie's like, listen, you know how great this town is. Why would you come over here if you didn't and get these, except you know how good those waffles are? It's like, these waffles make great dog laxatives. And that's what finally pushes Leslie over the edge, as she's going to feed these waffles to this dog. And so they get in a fight, and they throw each other into the garbage, and it's not good. Oh, I've jumped over something too, though. Tom was going to tell Leslie off, and he tells her off by asking her to let it. Lindsay off, yeah. Tells her off by asking her to say, if you know of any job opportunities, let me know about it. Take this resume and shove it into your human resources slot. And Andy loves that. Yeah, shove it there. Which is great. Which then leads to the garbage fight. The police, the Pawnee police come. And so we're talking to the Chief Trumple. And then as that's happening, the Eagleton police come on segways. It's like, is there seem to be any problem here? And so Trumple's like, you got to both apologize or else we're going to take you both to jail. And they refuse to apologize. So they go to jail. And Pawnee jail, Lindsay's put in jail, and it looks rough. We've seen the Pawnee jail before because Ron was in jail. But then the Eagleton holding cell is really nice.
It's like a spa.
Yeah. And the guy's like, is there anything I can get for you before I lock you in here? So
it's like the walls are lavender, or, just this nice. Yeah.
It's a very nice way to be imprisoned. So cut to the next day. Ron is sleeping in the office to avoid any possible surprises. And Andy comes in and talks to him. And Ron starts like, what is Leslie doing for my birthday? He's like, I can't tell you anything. She swore me to secrecy. But because I love you like a dad who's not that much older than me, maybe more like a young uncle, or you know what, a camp counselor, but it's cool because we're adults, so we hang out. Or you're my LaCrosse coach.
I get it, son.
But then he's like, I can't tell you anything. Besides, Leslie would be so mad at me because she assigned me to kidnapping duty. And then Andy's like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And he walks away.
Which is exactly what she wanted him to say.
Right. Yeah. I need you to not be able to keep this secret. And so Leslie is brilliant. So then Anne comes to get Leslie from jail, and Leslie's wearing a nice blanket.
Yes. But the opening shot for the Eagleton jail is there's a windmill out front.
Right.
And it just cracked me up because their jail is so nice. It has a beautiful windmill out front.
Yeah, it is. It's a posh jail. It's a posh jail. So Anne comes to get Leslie from jail, and this is where Leslie says, I could have had that job 5 years ago, but we both decided we were going to stay in Pawnee. And then Lindsay took the job and disappeared and never came back. And Anne's like, well, if you ever need me to, I'll beat her with a bat. So they're like best friends. So they're like, they're ready to go. And then Anne's like, can we stop by the gift shop? The prison gift bags are amazing.
I love what Anne said there too to Leslie is that, she also said like the reasons why, like she de-escalated, she allowed Leslie to get back to a frame of mind where she could think this through because of the one thing when she said like, oh, you turned this job down. That's the only reason why she got it. They offered it to you first, and she has to live with that for the rest of her life, which has to eat her up. Right. And it was like, oh, that's a really good piece of advice. And I think that allowed Leslie to kind of turn the corner on the whole thing in my mind, because, it wasn't this war necessarily. It's like, oh yeah, I won 5 years ago. I don't know. Oh, that was good.
Yeah, that's good. I think also Anne is full of great ideas. And from this conversation, Leslie also gets inspiration to take this fence of broken relationship and turn it into a wall of possibility.
Yeah, like a field of dreams almost.
Almost. There are definitely fewer ghosts that we can interact with.
100% less Ray Liotta's.
Which I think, if you really want to take this episode up a notch, having Ray Liotta just in the crowd would have been awesome.
And then he just disappears into the wall.
Yeah. Man, if only I knew somebody who knew how to do video editing and like special effects.
Like the Homer Simpson meme where he just goes back into the into the hedge.
So what does Leslie do? Well, she goes and overnight they paint the wall green and they create the Pawnee Wiffle Ball League.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so exciting. And Andy keeps rooting for the other team because they're like hitting all of April's pitches, which is funny. She's like, stop cheering for them. It's like, they're just lighting you up. And so Lindsay comes like, what is this? You did this overnight? And she's like, yeah, I work with a lot of great people. And like, what if you get a home run? And like one of the Eagleton kids who signed up for our league will just have to hop over there and get it. And so, yeah. So like Leslie is creating a thing overnight, which they already have jerseys and stuff. Like the timeline is troubling unless Leslie made all the jerseys herself, which we know she can do.
And she somehow managed to get sponsorship from Sweetums.
Yeah, real fast. Everything happened real fast for Leslie, but I'm sure, she knows how to pull the strings of the city to make it happen.
And there's a double burn in here too, because she goes, we never could have afforded this high quality wood for the outfield fence.
Right.
It's like you gave it to us. See?
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you, Eagleton, for giving us this thing that is bringing all these kids joy. You can go have your dressage, your horse dancing or whatever. We're going to actually do fun things in parks, which kids want to do, which is great. Again, and this is where we see that this city line in the park creates a perfectly like half circle, for the back wall of the wiffle ball field.
Yeah, I think it's great. Ovoid is the term.
Ovulation.
Nope.
No? Okay. I don't know. So so that's a great little moment of comeuppance where Leslie takes the frustrations and she's able to turn it into something. And her inspiration was when her best friend Anne said she wanted to beat your face in with a baseball bat.
Mm-hmm.
So
and yet at the end of the scene, almost at the end of the scene, she says like, do you want to go, what are you doing? Do you want to go to Sullivan's and get a beer or something and talk? So, I just like the fact that Leslie doesn't stay, like they could have just ended it with, haha, we got you. And we're going to be happy with what we have. But then she's like, hey, we used to be friends, we fixed our side, you guys are going to do your thing, but, let's be humans, which it just makes Leslie not vindictive, which is good.
There is a little bit of vindictiveness in this, though, because earlier in the episode, and we didn't talk about this, Leslie has an incriminating photo of Lindsay.
Yes.
Wearing a jazz sweatshirt. And
before she got her septum.
Yes. So before she got her work done, she was wearing this jazz sweatshirt. And even at this last moment, was like, do you want to go to Sullivan's and get your jazz sweatshirt and we can have a beer? And she's like, I still have that sweatshirt. It's like, I know.
Leslie's like, I know.
So she still knows, like, I know where you came from, Lindsay.
Right.
And then
you're still Jenny from the block. Is that a thing? Do kids say that anymore? No.
Right. I don't. No, they don't. Okay. I'll ask my kids. Do you know who Jenny from the block is? I'm like, who? Which block?
Was it the same block that the new kids came from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Same one. So then towards the end of the episode here, Leslie comes into the office and Ron is completely disheveled. And she says, Ron, Chris wants us to go to a meeting in conference room C. And it's late. And so he's like, fine, whatever. And they go. And Leslie
let's get this over with.
A steak dinner, scotch, bacon, potatoes, steak. And she's rented Bridge Over the River Kwai and the Dirty Dozen. She has a security guard outside to make sure nobody bothers Ron. This is Ron's dream birthday. He's by himself watching war movies, which sounds pretty great. And she says, what about all the big things that you did? Like Anne told you about. She's like, well, that's an Ann Perkins party. That's not a Ron Swanson party. Then she says, do you remember what you said to me when Eagleton came and offered me that job? She says, well, I disagree with you, but I think we work well together and I respect you. And you're going to get a lot of job offers, but you only have one hometown. And I was like, man, Ron, so smart, so wise. Mm-hmm. And that's what kept her there.
Whoa.
So pretty great. And then the credit scene is Ron just eating and watching Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Yeah, just eating meat and watching things explode.
Yeah, have you seen that movie?
Yes.
So good.
Yeah, that's a really very good film. So is The Dirty Dozen.
Yeah, they're both like great movies. And Judah was like, I was watching this morning, and Ron, he didn't see the whole episode, and he just came out and watched him and Ron eating and watching Bridge Over the River Kwai, and he was like, "What is this?" It's like, it's one of the best movies ever. So it's fine that we watched a little bit of it in this episode of television because it's a great movie. So,
well, and your son really likes trains, and so
yeah, why would they do that to Thomas?
You said this is good. This is well, Thomas gets dark after the Beatle drummer leaves.
The Beatle drummer. You don't even know his name. Ringo.
I didn't think any of the other Beatles knew his name, so why should I?
There's an episode of 30 Rock where Alec Baldwin is talking about how he, as a way to raise money during college, he read every word in the dictionary to get the perfect American accent. And he's like, I have no control over what they do with that. And that it's so annoying, and especially when I watch Thomas the Train.
Because he was the conductor.
Narrator. Yeah. So good. I was at a thing this week where we have people come up and drive up meals in our parking lot at the church, and a kid was in the back seat and they were talking, and so parents will roll their windows down, and these are kids I don't know. They just are like, there's a person out there, I want to say hi to them. I haven't seen people other than you parents for a year, so let me say hi to that person. And so roll the window down, and the kids are like super cute, and the son is wearing Thomas the Train pajamas. And it's like, oh, do you like Thomas the Train? He's like, no. I was like, oh. And his mom's like, you're wearing Thomas the Train pajamas. He's like, no. I was like, okay. But you get 14 and you get kind of weird.
Yeah.
He was like
like
3 years old.
Okay.
So yeah, all in all though, this is a great episode. It's super fun. I mean, it's not like the funniest one, but it is a good way to get us a picture of Eagleton.
Again, yeah, it's the same thing. It's one of those, no pun intended, but it's kind of one of those bridge episodes where they have, it really connects all of the things together. Yeah, I know that it connects everything together, and we get to see a bigger picture of the world, and the relationships move forward a little bit more.
Yeah. So
yeah. And then I also like at the end there when Ron is kind of smiling while he's watching everything blow up, he kind of there's this little smile of contentment. And then I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, is Leslie too thoughtful now, Ron? Is she? Because like she thought of all of the things that he really would like. And so when he said earlier, she's too thoughtful, it's like, yeah, you need that though. You need somebody to look out for you and give you, good things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Leslie will always look out for Ron, because Ron, in his own little way, is always looking out for Leslie.
Yeah.
He's right. They work really well together, and he does respect her, and he wants the best for Leslie. So, and I just sent you a picture of Ben from this episode that I think really sums up Ben. So.
What? That's his little Sebastian. I don't understand face.
He's just perplexed, and that's listener. I won't include this in the show sheet, so you're just gonna have to find it. It's on the IMDb page, and you're just gonna have to find a picture of Ben. It won't be hard. So yeah, there are 75 photos. I'm sorry, I'm just noticing it now. Like they have they add photos from the episode, and there's 75 of them for this episode.
Well, why don't you read the caption for every single one?
Do they all have captions?
No, I don't know.
Eagleton, Adam Scott and Aziz Ansari in Parks and Recreation, 2009.
Was that the first one?
Adam Scott, Amy Poehler, and Aziz Ansari in Parks and Recreation. Parker Posey in Parks and Recreation. I don't think this is going to be as good as we thought it would be. That's not a good feature for this show.
But there's only one way to find out.
I'm going to read them all.
Next episode 13, is The Fight. And it's got a 8.9. So,
Fight.
Yeah, that's where Tom invites everyone to the Snake Hole Lounge.
Oh
and,
my gosh! Yes,
Leslie and Anne. Yeah, yep.
Yes, we
Janet Snake Hole. Yep.
Nick Kroll. Potatoes. Oh my god! I'm gonna have to watch this several times, probably.
Yes, it's a very, very good episode. Season 3 just keeps getting better.
Ron dancing. Oh,
I
man.
Can't wait.
This user review just as a heads up from Panda Monkey 3146 says the funniest episode ever. Each character becomes drunk and it's funny. Very funny. Was this helpful to you? Oh, all 5 user reviews. Okay. We should stop, and I'm going to read these reviews on my own.
Good. Hey,
this person gave it a 10 out of 10.
Nice.
Bren Bella, who we've talked about before, not a listener to the show.
Not yet.
There's no Hail Zorp at the end. So,
right.
Warning, spoilers. Oh, what? John Ralphio raps like a god. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
K to the N to the OPE. She's the dopest little shorty in all of Pawnee, Indiana.
R to the O to the N, and I say Swanson got swagger on the size of Big Ben. Clock.
You gotta stop on the rhyme. I know what I gotta do. I love John Ralphio. Oh my gosh.
Spoiler. This thing, 10 out of 10. John Ralphio raps like a god. Warning, spoilers, and he just gives the line. That's the whole spoiler.
That's a pretty good spoiler. Anyway.
Yeah.
I just realized too, like we record a week, every week. And so like right now I'm excited for next week, but the listener, if you just go to the next episode right now, you just get to hear, oh, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of you.
Well,
I guess
there's nothing keeping you from watching this whenever you want.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to go do that then.
All right. Oh, cool. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.